Okay, this might be one of the cutest things I've ever made. Homemade heart-shaped strawberry Pop-Tarts, where I used freeze-dried strawberries to make the filling and the icing. No artificial coloring to get this beautiful pink color. I started by making some pie dough. I like to use an all butter crust. Mine consisted of 350 grams of flour, 2 sticks of salted butter, and about 10 tablespoons of really cold water. I like to freeze my butter an hour before, and I use a cheese grater to cut it up, and this just makes it really quick to incorporate into the flour. I got all of that kneaded together. While all that chills up, I'm going to use some of my freeze-dried strawberries to create a jam for the inside. I took 60 grams of strawberries and I added about 1 cup of hot water to reconstitute them. Once they absorbed most of the liquid, I transferred them to the stove, where I also added half a teaspoon of lime juice and about 1/3 cup of sugar. Once it started to boil, I let it cook down for about 15 minutes and it was done. I was super impressed on how the jam turned out. Now moving on to assembly. I rolled out my dough to be about 1/8 of an inch in thickness, and then I used a heart-shaped cookie cutter to cut out the dough. Before placing the jam on the inside, I pressed down on the dough a little bit. That way the jam could just sit on the inside and not easily squeeze out the side. I added about 3/4 of a tablespoon of jam to each one. I spread it out a little bit, making sure to keep about 1/2 an inch along the sides. Before placing the top, I also flattened out this dough and formed a little bit of a dome to help that filling stay in place as well. I started closing them up by pinching the sides, and then I pressed down with a fork to help secure everything. I also poked a few holes in the top of each one. Once assembled, they went into the fridge for about 30 minutes. This will help the butter not spread when they are baking. Before going into the oven, I brushed a quick egg wash on top, and then I baked them for about 28 minutes or so at 375 degrees. I also flipped the pans halfway through, and that really helped them not get too brown on one side. Now time to make the icing. This is one of my favorite things. I've been making this icing for strawberry scones that I make for about a year now, and it's so good. So all you do is take 10 grams of freeze-dried strawberries, and I blended this into a quick powder. I did sift this, and I reserved any bigger chunks to the side. You'll see what I do with those in just a second. To the powder, I added 75 grams of powdered sugar and then about 40 to 50 grams of whole milk, and I blended. I transferred to a bag where I cut the tips so I could easily pipe this icing onto them. Then that sifted out strawberry that I had, I sprinkled on the top, and it was so cute. It's like little sprinkles. These turned out so incredible. They taste so good and so cute for Valentine's Day.